Hello and welcome to Sestra-Tainment. I'm Lenora.
And I'm Dee.
And we're coming to you today in regards to
Everything
entertainment. So this week I'm going to start with all that. It's been a lot.
It has been a lot.
In 2025.
And it's just January.
It's just February by the time you hear this.
Yeah. But the thing is like,
February.
I saw a guy who was like, it's still January. It's been 2 years.
Yeah, they were like, somebody at work said this is the 45th day of January.
Yeah. But but I felt like it was like that last year too.
Oh my gosh.
Last year, wasn't it like, it's 2024 and we have already have all this crap starting in January. So
I think we all thought that Cat Williams kicking off January last year was like, wow, what in the world was this year going to be? And this year has been fires. It's been earthquakes.
Yeah.
It's been snow in the East Coast. It's been around for 3 weeks.
Snow in the South.
Never seen snow in the South.
Snow in the South.
Florida Panhandle, all of that.
Yeah. Texas.
Yep.
Louisiana.
It's insanity. We have had now a helicopter and plane crash. Well, a helicopter with a plane crash and then a separate plane crash.
Yeah.
All this week, those things. And so I just wanted to take a moment to talk about that. So there was a plane that had 64 people on it that was approaching Washington, D.C. Reagan International Airport, which, for D.C., it's kind of Reagan and Dulles are the airports that people would go to. And Dulles is just a little further out. It's a little, bigger to navigate. In D.C., it's like, you go basically over 95 or Route 1 or whatever, and you see DC's airport, right? And so I've personally never flown out of there. I don't know. I know you haven't either. No. Yeah. So, but there's been times that I've considered it or thought about it because it's only like an hour and a half away from us. Yeah,
and then it would be cheaper than leaving from Virginia.
Yeah, from Virginia
because Virginia is not really a place where people fly into.
And not as frequently. It's not a lot of direct flights to places.
Yeah, and our airport is tiny.
Yeah, you could go to DC and be able to do that. And so basically what ended up happening is that, and I mean, things are still, of course, developing, but it sounds as though the plane was approaching and they lost communication or did not have communication with the plane as it was approaching. Not sure 100% why at this point, but it was about, I think they said 200 feet or so above ground. 400 feet above ground, getting ready to land. And then the helicopter, which should have been 200 feet, was at 400 feet as well. Because you have to think about it. If it was just a few feet one way or the other, or a few feet slower than faster. Like all of this would have been close, but would have potentially been avoided.
It would have been an issue with like turbulence or something.
Yeah,
like that.
And it would have been an issue with people being very, like up in arms about the fact that how could this have almost happened? You know,
exactly.
And then unfortunately, it's the situation that it actually did happen. So it was an Army Blackhawk helicopter that was on a training mission. Which from everything I know, and I talked to someone who lives so close to this crash site that they actually, were like, if I was at home, I probably would have seen it or heard it or felt it. Mm-hmm. And so, but they basically said this kind of routine happens all the time. The helicopters are always up and about. They're from Fort Belvoir. Okay. And that's right there in Northern Virginia. And so basically the helicopters share the same airspace with the planes. And it's just a lot of air traffic. That's what the person shared with me as well, that she just felt like it's always way too much air traffic going on with DC's airport. Anyway, it's just, it's busy. It's a busy airport for how small it is. It's not huge. And so, but she was just saying that this was, really devastating. But you had where they are starting to share information about who the people were that were on the flight. I saw information about two male, I think they were both male stewards who were on the flight. One you were hearing from his sister, the other you were hearing from his wife, and just the stories that people were sharing. You also had 60 people on the plane plus 4 stewards and stewardesses, and then you had 3 people on the helicopter. 2 of the people on the helicopter they've already named. The government or the Army, I don't know which side, is holding the name of the person who was flying the helicopter. So people are kind of questioning why that has happened. Like, why is his name being held?
But then, I mean,
And
I can understand that. So then that way it's not going to be any backlash to the family.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't control.
But people are nuts.
But
people
you can't
will go out
control
there and
an
just be
accident
like,
that
your
happens.
child did this, so now we're going to give you hell. And it's like, bro, but I'm
somebody's
not that child.
family that is very traumatized by what happened and all of that. But so they are holding that particular name. But there's already conspiracy theories about how there's thoughts that this wasn't an accident, that the helicopter did maneuver and zigzag or move in a way that made it closer towards the plane. But then you have other people who are like, no, when they communicated and say, yes, we see the plane, they were talking about a second plane. And you do see that in the video footage, that there was a second plane that was in the air as well. And so they're like, yeah, we're maneuvering away from that one. And we don't even know. They could have still been looking at that one like, oh yeah, that one's over here, not realizing there's one that's right in front of them. You know, you just never know. And so and what they were doing did not show any reflection of, like, they were doing solely sight, right? They weren't doing sonar, they weren't doing anything where they would be able to tell, oh, there's something approaching. Whereas now potentially that plane could have had it where something, you know, was saying, hey, something else is out here with us, coming right at us. But again, they didn't have any communication with the plane, which is another thing that people are trying to figure out, like, how did they lose communication upon approach, which, as we all know, the most dangerous times on a plane are actually the takeoff and the landing, right? Exactly, and so you would think that you would want to have that kind of communication line still open. So nobody knows why that communication may have ended, but you do hear the communication between the tower and the helicopter, because some people, I think, feel like, well, why are the helicopters maneuvering and doing all of this in air traffic control right there near DC? The Pentagon is there, the Capitol is there. Like, it's so many things that could go wrong. And, but this is what always happens. This is just, you know, what they have always done to this point. So this is the first time since, I think they said 2009, maybe 15 years, that there has been a United States commercial, flight that has had a a catastrophic situation to take place on American soil. Like, you'll hear of other planes
something about something happened in 1982.
Well, I'm talking about in regards to, there was a plane that crashed. I want to say it was in the Northeast.
Okay.
That,
so
like,
just
like in New Jersey or what? No, I'm just saying, in general, any plane that has crashed in the United States was in 2009. I think was the last time that had happened. And so, but yeah, there were other planes that had crashed earlier than that. But it's just saying that the last time that this happened, people are frustrated, I guess is a way to say it, with the president and his handling of the situation, just based on the fact that it seems very pointing of fingers, calling it about, diversity, equity, inclusion hires. And this is why, these things happen. Did we have the right people in place in the air traffic control center? All of that. We'll just leave that for what it is. He just said it's a bad situation. It looks like it should have been prevented, and that, I don't know. Anyway, so let's see what else we have here. But that's kind of what was going on regarding that. And then, unfortunately, on Friday, there was another plane crash. So literally, like, less than 48 hours later, another plane crash that happened in Philadelphia, where a plane, right after taking off, a small plane that had, it looks like, I think 6 people on the flight log, had crashed. And that is where it was taking off, and potentially due to winds and fog, that plane, just 30 seconds after taking off, seems to, have crashed in Northeast Philadelphia, right off from the airport. It was a small engine Cessna 172. And so that was heading to Springfield, Missouri.
I wonder if now, with all this happening and the Super Bowl coming up, if some of these people are going to be like, yeah, we're not going to go to a Super Bowl now because I'm not flying
Yeah.
anywhere to go to a Super Bowl.
I'm pretty sure there are, like, you never know. It could be that people still go. They're just like rental car.
Yeah,
it's
just
going to be
drive
like,
it.
look, we're just going to leave 2 days early. We're just
Amtrak is going to be crazy.
Yeah, it could be that people do that because, I mean, it has to make people pause, right? And you're going to have to want to think differently. But at the same time, it's like you can't not live your life. And there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of planes in the air every single day.
Yeah.
And so these are two situations.
It just happened, and it happens less than a car crash.
This is very true as well.
Therefore,
it is very true as well. I am so thankful that we had already had our trip that took place with our friend who did not want to fly and was scared to fly before all of this, because I don't know how freaked out she might have been to try to do this now. And I'm hoping it does not freak her out to do it in the future because, like you said, it's definitely happens more with car crashes. Now, our hope is that it doesn't continue to happen. Because if it continues to happen, then that's going to
be an issue.
Be a huge issue, especially as people in America will want to go places, get out and about. Like, summer is approaching. Yeah. People are probably already buying tickets to go travel to other places and all of that. So just keep the families in your prayers, and let's also pray that nothing else happens, because this is, 2025 is been an interesting year already.
These 4 weeks.
These 4 weeks have been interesting. Yeah. So on that note,
we're not even going to count this as a new year. Let's wait till spring comes. Right. And that will be the new year.
That will be the new year. We'll do like a Chinese New Year or something like that.
So we'll just try our own new year. Start off when everything starts growing and coming back in. We'll say that's the new.
We'll just say spring is the new year.
Yes,
it's new, developing, blooming.
Yes,
a blooming new
year. We got some time. We got till March.
Yep. Okay, sounds good. March 21st, I believe. Yeah, There you go. All right. Well, what do you have, sis?
Okay, so what I have is a movie with Brandy Norwood.
Oh.
I don't know if you had heard of it, but it is called.
I don't think I have. I don't think I knew that she was in anything.
Yes, so it's called The Front Room.
Okay.
Now it is an A24 movie. I don't know anything. I want to just go over.
What is A24?
So different production companies.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. A24 and some of Bleecker Street, for me, always the best movies for me to watch.
It's like how Jordan Peele has Monkey Paw, I think, or something like that. Yeah, okay. Yeah. And you see the monkey turning the thing. Yeah.
So, A24 definitely makes great movies. Okay. But I feel like A24 is now, it is... A24 does not do remakes. Saying
A like Apple 24, not 8. No, 24. Okay, I thought it was 8. Okay, got it. Okay.
And so...
I've never paid attention to the beginning of something to know that it was... it was. So, okay, got it. All right. Well,
but I do like A24 movies. So with this movie, you have Brandy Norwood. She plays the main character, Belinda, or as the mother calls her, Belinda.
Okay.
You have Andrew Burnap, who plays Norman, her husband.
Okay.
You have Catherine Hunter, who plays Solange, who does an amazing job in this movie.
Yeah. Okay.
You have Neil Huff, who plays Pastor Lewis, who kind of pops in and out of the movie. But those are the main characters that you need to know. Everybody else is just in there, but they don't have big roles. So what it is that, so you got Belinda, and she is a looked over adjunct professor, that can't get like a position, in the college, because, one, she's a woman, and then two, she's Black.
Okay.
So the area that they're in is predominantly white. So therefore, everything is against her. Nothing that she does. She even went and sat in the office of, I guess, the dean for, like, just sitting there, like, waiting for him. And the receptionist is like, yeah, you might not be able to see him today. And she's just like, can you just tell me the truth? Like, what is going on? Like, tell me what's happening. So, the frustration for her with that is a thing. All right. Now, she is pregnant, and her husband, Norman, is a good support. He supports her so much by trying to make her I guess trying to make her feel as comfortable as she can while she's pregnant.
Okay.
Doing everything, anything and everything. But he's a great husband, but he's also a workaholic because he's trying to make partner. So that becomes an issue. So he's kind of busy trying to be partner, but then still trying to give her attention at the same time. So he's trying to balance it out. Now, Norman gets a call that his father has passed. Mm-hmm. And the call, then once he gets the call and realizes his father has passed, he's kind of like, it was kind of like you could see him kind of go into like he turns into a different person. It was like a shy, timid, oh my God, like now I'm going to have to go and deal with all the stuff with the family. And it was just, you could just see the change in his whole demeanor.
Okay.
So they go to the funeral, and while they're going to the funeral, he's talking about his stepmother. Mm-hmm. He was like, she made me call her mother. After his mother has passed away, so he's like, she made me call her mother. Mm-hmm. She made me like read the Bible. I had to sit down and just read the Bible. So he's going over all the stuff about how the mother was like, his stepmother was basically telling him he wasn't good enough, and that God's going to look after him if he reads the Bible and he does this and does that. Mm-hmm. So the stepmom thinks that she is a divine entity that is the only person who can speak to God.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Now, this is an old lady. She walks with 2 canes. Okay. That old. Like, not a walker, but like
2 canes.
2 actual canes.
Like she's got like crutches or something.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
She's just walking
with the 2 canes. All right. So, when they find all this stuff out, the pastor pulls, once they get to the funeral, the pastor pulls Norman to the side and was like, hey, so with everything that's going on, there is a will for your father. But his last wish was for you to take your mother in. And he's like, that's not my mother. It's like, okay, well, look, doesn't matter. She's going to, she's sold all her assets and everything, and is going to give you all the money as long as you all take her in.
Got it.
Now, they are struggling with money stuff because he's trying to make partner, and she can't get to where she needs to be at the university that she's working at. So I believe she just up and quits. She's done. I'm out. Not dealing with that no more. Mm-hmm. Now, now that they know that this is a thing that's happening, Belinda's like, oh, this is awesome because we need this money. We have to fix up this house. We bought this house as a fixer-upper, but then nothing of our other plans have worked out. So now all our money is tight. This is going to work out so good. It'll be ideal for us. And Norman's like, no, she's a horrible woman. This is not happening. But Brandy's character, Belinda, is like, we can work this out. We can. Oh. And it's like, you should have listened to your husband. Mm-hmm. You won't raise in that house. You should have listened to your husband. Mm-hmm. Now, weird things start to happen as soon as the mother moves in. Oh. Immediately.
Really?
Weird stuff starts to happen.
And she's the one who can talk to God.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. She tries to separate Belinda and Norman. She's a racist woman. So she starts to say little things. But then Norman is so back into his childhood and his mind with her that he doesn't say anything to her. He's just kind of sitting there eating dinner with his head down. And Belinda is the one who's talking to her. She's like, okay, well, you don't have to blah, 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 blah. And, and trying to, I guess, make the lady feel like she's at home, but be like, look, you can calm down with all this talk.
Yeah, because
we don't have to really do it.
You in,
yeah,
lady.
But that wasn't happen. So it starts to take a toll in their relationship. Mm-hmm. Now they're starting to separate. They're barely really talking to each other. The husband Norman, he's like so into being partner, he can't help with anything. Mm-hmm. So his mother, her name is Solange. Okay. Plays the mother.
She acted really well.
Yes, who acted really well. She needs assistance because she needs to get her diaper changed. Mm. She cannot walk on her own, and there's things that she can't do. So now Belinda is at home by herself with the mother. The mother is soiling herself, and she's like, help. I've soiled myself, help.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, very, but then you go into the room, and not only has she peed on herself, but she has pooped on herself, and it ain't a little bit.
She's done it all.
I mean, like, it looked like she's lactose intolerant and all she ate was cheese.
Oh, gosh.
They opened up the bedroom door and shut it back immediately because of the smell.
Oh.
And she's like, help, Belinda. No, I'm a nurse. Oh, help me. So he's like, I can't help. I have to go to this meeting. And she was like, so you want your pregnant wife to go and pick up this woman? Like, I can't do this. Yeah. This woman, like, you need to pick her up.
So need to get a nurse.
Exactly. But then they don't want to get a nurse because if a nurse comes in, it would make the mother feel uncomfortable. Make her feel like she is a patient and not a part of the family. Okay. That was a whole nother thing.
Yeah, that sounds a little like a stretch. But.
So with Belinda being the sole caregiver and like Norman working so much and they don't want the nurse in the house because of like that's how Solange works. Yeah. It puts more stress on
the relationship.
Well, no, it puts more stress on Belinda.
Belinda,
who is pregnant. Mm-hmm. So with all of that, Belinda being pregnant, weird things start to happen. Like super weird things start to happen. She's having like these vivid dreams and all this stuff. Random people just show up at the house and Belinda goes to like the store, comes home. All the furniture is totally different. All the furniture is the furniture from the house, the old lady's house, from Solange's house.
Oh, so she's just like people bring furniture from her house to their house.
Yeah, and apparently Norman knew about it. It was like, I'm just trying to make her feel at home. And she's like, if you don't get this Victorian slave owning stuff out of my home. Right. So Solange starts to get weirder and weirder with some of her stuff. She starts speaking in tongues. She's soiling the bed. So she soils the bed, but then also the nursery that they set up for the baby. Mm-hmm. Oh, no. Solange said, this is my room. In that room is Norman's actual mother's chair.
His real mother.
His real mother's chair. What happens? The stepmother soils the chair, of course. Why would she not soil the chair? Because he's like, this is my mother's chair. She's like, and it would do just fine, and sits down in it. Belinda, can you get me some tea? Yeah. And she talks so creepy. But it's just so creepy. And then the way that she looks, they like how they put all this prosthetics and stuff like that on her makes her look even weirder. So there is pee and poop all on the walls, on the floor, everywhere.
And they show all that?
Yeah, I mean they showed where the stuff is. Because Belinda's just walking and she goes into the room because the woman's screaming for help. Yeah. She goes into the room. She's not in the room. She turns around and looks, and down the side of the steps, like the steps come down and there's a hallway beside the steps. Yeah. All poop smeared all up against the wall. But it looks like she walked with her butt up against the wall. Yeah. All the way around and every door all the way to the bathroom. And then she's
got to go.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So now she's like, I have to clean up all of this stuff. And it just becomes so much. Then there's some weird things that happen between Norman and Solange, his stepmother. That's some weird stuff that happened. I don't know if that was a dream or if that was real. It kind of gives you that in between where you don't really know. Yeah, but by the end of the movie, you get bits and pieces where you can put the stuff together. But for me, it was like, why didn't you listen to your husband in the first place?
Right, and why didn't they get rid of her once they started realizing what all was going on? Like, I ain't gonna feel but so bad.
Exactly, but it's like, but if you would have done that. If you just listen to your husband, you're greedy for money. Yeah. And then what happens? Now you are living in a home that doesn't even feel like your own.
Like your own home, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
You don't have your furniture. You got stuff.
Where did their furniture end up going?
That's a good question. I have no idea.
Oh, wow.
But it was definitely Solange's furniture. But yeah, by the end of it, you're kind of like, okay, why did all of this happen? And then at the very end, it ties up in a nice little bow where you see exactly what happened and how this ended up happening and how everything just goes back to normal.
To normal?
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Okay, that's weird.
The very end of it is normal. I will tell you that.
Okay.
The very end of it is the smiling, looking out the window of your home and
Just happy.
just
that
happy.
everything's
Yeah,
the
the
way it
happy
needs to
everything
be.
is But then it's
Is
like
it a good ending?
but it
or
don't
is
show
it a
you
bad
who else
ending?
is there.
Oh, I was
But-
gonna say,
but
is it a
see.
good ending or a bad ending?
Um,
Or is it a continuation ending?
It's a good ending but I mean it gives it to where you get an ending but you can still fill in some of the blanks for yourself. It's not did that just cut off and that's the end of this?
Okay, got it. Yeah,
It's not that. It is oh okay, well I could see how this could happen and blah 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 blah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it is a good movie. It is like a suspense, I guess it would be. It's not a thriller or I mean like a horror movie, but it is suspenseful with some of the weird things that tend to happen because it's got like the dynamic of like the Holy Spirit and speaking in tongues and messages from God and things like that. So you
stuff
get
like
that,
that, yeah.
but then they make it like demonic when they put it out there. So it's like, is this of God or not?
Right. Oh wow.
But yeah,
Okay.
but no, it's good. So it's called The Front Room, and you can watch this. Let me remember where you can watch that. You can watch it on Max, or you can rent it or buy it on Amazon Prime.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I am going to talk about The Breakfast Club, believe it or not.
What? You
Yeah,
don't even
I
like
don't
The
even
Breakfast
watch
Club?
and
You
listen
know what?
to The
I've
Breakfast
actually
Club.
missed The Breakfast Club because I've been out of work with an injury, so
Oh,
I haven't
that's
been
what you
listening to my
normally listen to.
podcast because I listen to podcasts while I'm working.
Yeah. Well, they had Wendy Williams on there.
Oh, good, because Lauren LaRosa had tried to go and do an interview with Wendy Williams, and the people who were there, like
Yeah, that's what is on part of this.
Oh,
Is she
okay.
part of the
So
Breakfast Club, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So that must have went from when she went originally to go see her and all the
Yes.
stuff that happened. So they actually had her come in.
No, they had a call
On the
with
call?
her.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So the Breakfast Club had on there, when I looked at the video podcast, so they had Wendy Williams and her niece
Okay.
on the actual podcast on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Charlemagne was just asking her questions about,
Charlemagne used to work for her. That's how he started.
Exactly. And he and DJ Envy,
Yes.
were, look, I don't even know the players, but DJ Envy were both saying how they really appreciated her, giving them their start and all that kind of stuff,
Exactly, yeah.
so they wouldn't be where they are if it wasn't for her. And so she, interestingly enough, because, when you watch the documentary, you kind of feel like she was a little out of it, right? You just didn't feel like she was 100% there. Well, this interview,
She all there.
she seemed like she was there.
So yeah, I think that they're medicating her.
It was interesting because what she really, I'll say the reason that I think it was that she was there is because every time they would ask her a question about something she legally couldn't talk about, she's scattered. She's a scattered person. Her niece said she's scattered in general.
Yeah.
Like she'll start
She's
down a
ADD,
path,
absolutely.
and then she's just like, well, you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. And then she'll change it to something else, and then da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And her niece did say, if you don't know Wendy, you might think she's sounding like she's a little out of sorts.
Yeah,
But they were like, but this is Wendy.
yeah.
And Charlamagne was the same way.
She
He was
does
like,
it on
yes.
a radio show. She did that
Yeah.
even on her TV show.
Yep, and so I think she calmed it down to a degree on the TV, show, more so because she knew she had certain cues to hit to get through.
But
the whole
then
show.
but then the what I'm saying is the audience being like, ooh,
Yeah.
She's like, see, you see,
Yeah.
you got it now, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and she wouldn't really finish a thought.
Yeah, she
and
wouldn't
then
finish
keep
her
on
thought,
going.
yeah.
Yeah. So what had happened was she was just talking about all the things that were going on. So what was the girl's name that you said was trying to see her?
Lauren LaRosa.
Lauren. So Lauren was sitting in the studio as well, saying her experience. She's on the phone with Wendy. She's going to her building to go up, and she's talking to Wendy, and Wendy, she said, oh my gosh, Wendy's looking out her window at me, and it's like, girl, is that a Chanel bag? And she was like, Wendy, how can you see that from 15 stories up or 5 stories up or whatever? And she was like, oh girl, I know fashion. Like, I'm going to see the fashion, kind of thing. So anyway, what ends up happening is Lauren gets to the building, asks for Wendy. They said, one moment, please. They check their little register, tell her to log in, write her name down and everything in the log. And then when it is time for her to go see Wendy, two big guys come and say she has to leave. There is no one here by that name. And she was like, wait, what? What are you talking about? Y'all literally just told me to write my name down because I'm here to see Wendy. And they were like, I'm sorry, ma'am. There's nobody here by that name. And so they basically kick her out and force her to leave. So she calls Wendy, and Wendy is very upset because she's like, what do you mean that they're saying that I'm not here? Is that what's going on as to why I don't have visitors? Mm-hmm. She said that on her floor, she can't even get in the elevator.
Yeah.
She can't go downstairs. There are times where she feels like she's just locked in her room.
Yes.
She only has like a window, all of her possessions. She's like, they sold my place in New York. I have no idea. They're in storage or something. Yeah. I don't know what's going on with my possessions.
Wasn't she worried about her pets too or something like that?
So her person is Sabrina Morrissey. So she would not say her name. So I guess she knows enough to know I can't say her name. But Charlamagne the God was like, Sabrina Morrissey. Yeah. Do we need to give her address? Do we need to say where her offices are? Because we got that information. And of course, Wendy was like, no, don't do that. And the niece was like, nah. Well, the niece was kind of like,
do what you do. I can't tell you what to do.
Yeah, but they definitely put her name out there as being her conservator. So when you think of like Britney Spears and having a conservatorship. And so now that is who is hers. And so she's like, I just want my money or access to it. I want my son to have access to it. I don't understand why this person, that's all she would keep saying is this person, has the ability to be able to dictate my life. I'm trying to go see my father. He's turning 94 years old. She's saying I can't see him, that I can't go to his birthday, like nothing. Like she's like, I get nothing at all. Her niece's name was Alex. That's what I was trying to remember. And so she was like, basically just saying that she has $15 to her name, in regards to that she actually has access to, that they make the decisions, and this woman makes the decisions in regards to her visitation, who can come, who can't. So she's assuming that when Lauren got there, they had to call the, conservator and say, Sabrina, can this person come in? She's from the Breakfast Club, blah, blah, blah. And that woman said, no, kick her out. And that's what ended up happening. Yeah. So, but Wendy was it sounded to me of her right mind, again, frazzled and a little bit flighty and a little bit all over the place, but that sounds like what they say is her. But she was very much in tune with, no, I can't, I'm not going to even talk about that, or I can't say that. I can't talk about anything with that, or, something to that degree, which made me really realize, and even in the comments, people were saying like, oh no, she's of her right mind. She knows what's going on. Why are they doing this to her, basically?
And I think that's so weird. Conservatorship is so weird because, why can't people just live their life how they want to? If they aren't harming other people, let them live their life.
Yeah, it's almost like we can't trust you to spend your money. Yeah, that's what it's
your
really
money
all
you
about.
Worked hard for.
Yeah, your money in a way that is responsible. So because of that, and we feel like mentally you aren't able to. Basically, it's like having a power of attorney.
Yeah,
right?
but
we don't feel as though you're able to mentally handle what all the pressures are of having this money, because it still seems like it's always about money.
It's your life,
but it's your life. Yeah,
I've never understood that. It's like why are you going to tell somebody what they can and can't do with their life?
I have no clue. And who made these decisions? Like, was it like who determined? This is what needs to happen. Because originally, I guess, I thought it was somebody in her family. I thought it was her family.
Yeah, they said it. They thought at first it was the son because there was no information that was put out.
That's what I was thinking. So
yeah, but no, it wasn't. It wasn't.
It was just a judge who said she just can't.
I guess so. I don't know.
But handle it. I don't know.
But I know Lauren LaRosa did say it was not her son. Oh, and Lauren was like, she was saying that I don't understand why I get there. I'm talking to Wendy on the phone the entire time.
At her in the window.
The entire time, and then now somebody else is saying that I can't come see her, and that I think that's how they ended up getting to do this interview and getting her on the phone.
Yeah, so
because they was like something's wrong with Wendy. They was like free Wendy. Something's going on with her.
They were saying free Wendy. Y'all need to call her office, do this, do that, but y'all need to do something so that way Wendy can, be able to live her life and be free and do what she wants to do. And it's not right or fair that of the things that she has built, this is where she is. Now, you do have some people who are like, look, Wendy caused too much drama for too many people, and this is the bed that she's made, so she just has to lie in it. There are some people who feel that way because they're just like, I can't say tortured, but
she just told the truth about what people were doing that they were trying to hide.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And which messed up their lives in the end.
Could have, potentially. I mean, well, but the people she could have talked about, she didn't. Like she was saying, oh yeah, people knew about XYZ going on with Diddy all along. Like she talked a little bit about Diddy. Yeah. And so,
but she had said that for a long time.
Yeah, but she did and didn't because she knew the line to walk. Around it. Yeah. She knew the line not to cross. Put it that way.
But then that's also, I know that this person can mess up my life.
Right, which makes you wonder if this person is messing up her life.
That's true.
Like even from being in jail or prison or whatever, like is it that this whole trajectory started because of something that happened between the two of them? You just never know. You never know. So anyway, but that's just what I wanted to share. Just that Wendy Williams was on The Breakfast Club. I do not have the episode number or anything like that, but it's been within the last week. And you can check that out wherever you find podcasts and on YouTube, I am sure. Isn't that right? Like they're a little bit everywhere, right?
Yeah. Okay, yeah, they have, so their show is on the radio, but it's also taped for YouTube and also
a podcast.
Yeah, recorded for a podcast.
Okay. Sounds good, but that's just what I had. So what do you have next, sis?
Okay, so what was the award show that we had talked about a couple of weeks ago?
The
Golden Globes?
Golden Globes, yeah.
Okay, I never remember what is what. I just know it's ones. It's an award. Mm-hmm. So one of the winners of that, Showgun.
Oh yeah.
I went back and watched it because I remember I started watching it, but I didn't finish it. Gotcha. And then I remember why. It's because the main character, the white gentleman, he reminded me of the bug guy from Men in Black. The first one.
Yeah, the one that was on Criminal Intent, Law and Order Criminal Intent. So, the one
he wanted like, sugar water.
Yeah, he wanted sugar water, and he was a roach.
Yeah, roach. That's what it was. Yeah. So, talk about Showgun. It actually ended up being good. Can be a second season.
It can?
Yeah. But so, it was good, but then it made me sad and upset that I watched the whole thing, and I didn't see any bit of war or fighting because the whole thing was supposed to be about a war and fighting,
but they're building up to it.
Yeah, but they didn't even have they didn't even start fighting and then cut and that'd be the end.
The rest of it will be when you come back.
Yeah, okay. None of that.
Kind of like Game of Thrones did, where you knew that the war was coming after the second season. Not Game of Thrones, House of Dragons. When they said, okay, this happened. Now you know a war is going to happen next. Okay, and you know what else did that? Twisted Metal. Where
I didn't watch Twisted Metal,
but Twisted Metal did that where they were like, it led up to the second season because everybody knows Twisted Metal is a video game of cars racing each other. Yeah. And the whole first season was like a car trying to get away from somebody, but not really the race. And now that is going to be the whole second season.
Yeah, so this is like the setup to get you to know who everybody is.
Who the players
are. So I know I'm going to butcher these names. Okay. So I'm only going to say a few.
Why are you even going to try?
I'm only going to say a few.
Okay.
I'm only going to say 2 names.
Okay.
And these are going to be the 2 main people that you see on Showgun. So you have Cosmo Jarvis, who plays John Blackthorne. Now that is the white gentleman that I said reminded me of the roach guy from Men in Black.
Okay.
I don't mean it in a foul way. It's just that the way that his face is, he has like his eyes are set apart, but like sunken back. He looks like he used to be a boxer.
So what bothers you about him with that?
Because he reminded me of the dude from Men in Black.
But what's that got to do with you?
Because that's all I could see while I'm watching it. While I'm watching it, that's all I could see.
For you to be
I'm just thinking sugar water the whole time, you know?
Goodness.
Excuse me. You know,
I do not see that at all. But okay, I digress.
Right. I'll show you the picture.
I'm looking at him right now.
No, I'll show you the picture of what I think of when I see him.
All right,
so you have him as John Blackthorne. And then you have Hiroyuki Sanada, who plays Yoshi Toranaga.
Okay.
All right, so these two are the main two that you would really need to know about. Oh, I can't say this one as well. You have Anna Sawai, who plays Mariko.
Okay.
Mariko. All right, so basically, this is like a history. So the first season basically sets up, it goes from history to, I guess this is fiction within history. So Showgun is actually based in the 1600s in Japan.
Okay.
So the backstory of all of this, the history part of it is that Portugal and Spain ran the trade route to the west.
Okay.
So all of the rest of the trade routes that were going from like to the east or whatever, Portugal and Spain went further out to the west. So they knew about Japan, but they kept it a secret.
Okay.
So they were trying to be the middleman. So they were like, we can go over to Japan, get this stuff, come back to here, sell this stuff, and when people try to figure out where it is, be like, oh, we have our connections. So they're using Japan stuff for them to make money.
Got it.
So that is that history about that. But what happens also is that they were taking the religion, I believe it's Catholicism, the Catholic religion. They are taking that and they pushed it into Japan. And the Japanese ended up liking it or, going into it. Some of them, not all of them, because a lot of them are traditionalists. But then there are others that are a little bit weak-minded who can, get into a cult.
They were easily manipulated into, I mean, not to say anything bad about Catholic religion. It's just that they were able to get into that religion based on somebody bringing it to them. Got it.
Exactly. So what happens is you have John Blackthorne. You see him on this boat. Everybody looks like they have scurvy on this boat. Everybody below deck is laying in hammocks and half dead.
Okay.
The captain is upstairs and he's in his office. They had been they started off with 5 ships leaving from Portugal to go with this trade route.
Okay.
Only 1 ship remained. Now this wasn't a war or anything. It was just that people were dying on the ships because they were out for so long. People were dying on the ships. They didn't have enough food. They didn't have anything for them to be able to be sustainable.
Gotcha.
So they ended up having the captain sitting there and was like, there's nothing that we can do. So I got this gun. We can all just go ahead and take our lives and not worry about, because they didn't know where they were at. They're just out at sea.
Just all about that.
And now you got John, who's like, no, I know we're going the right way. I've ridden on ships before. We're going the right direction. He was like, I know, in his mind, he's like, I know Japan's over here. But he was like, I know it's over here.
Where's he from again?
He is from England.
Okay.
But he's from the UK. He's from London. He's part of the Dutch trade ship that works with Portugal. So he is what they call a pilot.
Okay.
So therefore he's like, all right, so we have to keep going this way, blah, 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 blah. So he is like, I'm not killing myself, but if that's what you want to do, the captain's like, I have to go down with the ship. All of my shipmates or whatever, all are dying downstairs.
Yeah.
Like
the crew.
My whole crew is dying. I cannot do anything for them. So we need to just go ahead and take our lives. So he was like, I got this gun. I'm going to shoot myself. And then you go ahead and pass it around.
Okay.
And then John's like, no, because we're on the right path. He's like, and so then he closes the door. Boom. You hear the gun go off.
The pilot, the captain did do
and
it.
the pilot's he's just like, he didn't even stop. He was just like, okay, well, that was on you.
You can do it if you want
that was
to.
on you.
Yeah.
So now he's down in the bottom and he's looking through stuff, and all of them are like, I don't know how long it is between when the captain dies to when they arrive in Japan, but they just kind of drift into Japan. Okay. It was a man's out fishing. While he's out fishing, he hears something, and it's all foggy. He can't see anything. He hears something. He's like, what is that sound? Yeah. And he has a cross on. He's like, what is that sound? And then he looks and he sees it's a Dutch ship. So he runs back and he tells the people, hey, look, we got a ship, and I don't know if it's Portugal or what. I don't know if they're good people, if they're bad people. We got to figure it out. So now the guy who's in charge of this area was like, okay, let me go over here and figure out what's happening. Now there's one leader of Japan.
Okay.
And I can't remember his name is Toki Toi or something like that. He is an old man who passes away.
Okay.
Now, when he passes away, his heir is his son, but his son's like 5-6 years old. No golden child thing happening here. Like they're just like,
I want the naive.
yeah, right. So it's not anything like that. So the leader has it to where he has it's 5 different regions. So the 4 other leaders of those regions are going to work together to control Japan and make sure that no outsiders come in, and so while they are grooming the son to be the leader.
Okay.
Yes. Now, before this happens, on his deathbed, he talks to Toranaga and is like, look, I want to give this to you. You give me the least amount of headache. I want you to be the leader. Yeah. And Toranaga's like, nah, I'm not going to do that. But it's actually like he knows the amount of drama that would happen. And because it's just them two talking. So it's all going to be from what he says. It's going to be hearsay. That's going to end up starting to disconnect in between people. And he does not want any of that. Yeah. So now the other leaders their names are, okay. You have Toranaga, who is the strongest and most respected. Okay. Now he's the guy that we're following. Yep. With John. You have Kiriyama, who owns one territory. Okay. Sugiyama, who owns another territory, and Ono, who owns another territory, and Shida, who wants all the power, who owns a territory. So that's all the 5. Okay. Together. Now, what Shida does is he sees how much everyone loves Toranaga, and he's in his feelings. Yeah, I don't like it. So you know what he does? He's like, I'm going to go to Kiriyama, Shigiyama, and Ono and see if I can talk them into turning on Toranaga, because I can say that he is about to try to take over because our leader is now dead. So if I can get everybody on board with this, then he has to commit, I can't remember what it's called, but he has to do the samurai, stab yourself, twist, pull over. Okay. Yeah. So it's like that's your punishment. We don't kill you, you kill yourself. And that's what he's trying to get him to do. Now, as all this is going, Toranaga is going into where all the leaders are meeting, but they've already had their little side meeting. So now that he's getting over there where all the leaders are meeting, he comes in, everybody gives him praises, the whole town and everything. Everybody loves Toranaga. Okay. And he is like, I feel a little, he's like, he could feel that it's going to be some drama. And he's like, I did not want this to happen. Now there's an older woman who is the leader's wife. And she was like, why don't you just be the Showgun and just take over everything? Right. And he's like, I don't want to be the Showgun. Yeah. And then somebody else comes up to him. Well, you could be the Showgun and take over everything. I don't want to be the Shogun. Yeah. Now, how it goes into with all of that disconnect, what they have with the leaders and John, is because when the ship show comes in, they're pulling all these Dutch guys out and they're just putting them into like a little prison. Okay. Now they cannot speak to each other because they don't speak English. They speak Portuguese, and then the Japanese speak Japanese. So they can't understand each other, but they got a priest on their island. Go get the priest, because the priest can go ahead and talk to, them and figure out what's happening. So now as the priest is talking to John, John's like, you're not going to talk for me. I'm a Protestant. I don't do Catholic. So I don't even know if you're going to really say what I want you to say. So I'm not saying anything. I'll try to work it out. I'll try to draw. I'll try to do anything to work it out so they can understand me. Got it. That is where Toranaga is then like, okay, so this priest is telling me what this guy is saying, but this priest is telling me negative. things about this guy, but this guy is yelling at the priest the entire time. He's not yelling at me. So now he's trying to put all this stuff together and figure out this. So now Toranaga is using John to his advantage. Now there is Mariko, who is she is the one woman who is actually a descendant of one of the main leaders. Okay. But this is one of the main leaders from centuries ago. Like they have the most royal family of Japan, not through fighting or anything doing the Shogun taking over, but of the this is our like the royal family. Yeah,
the
like
lineage.
Their royal family. The father ends up getting killed because of Mariko's father ends up getting killed because of treason. No. So now it's like we still have to treat her with royalty because that is what she is.
Yeah, she is royalty.
She is royalty. So we still have to give her that respect, but she's just going to stay in our close confines. So she'll live in the palace with us or the empire with us, and we'll take care of her. But she really doesn't have any say. So Toranaga knows her. And then she's like, my family is in, tremendous debt to you. I will do anything. I'm so, grateful for you. Toranaga's like, yeah, I appreciate that. Do you speak Portuguese, by the way? He asked her. And she's like, yeah, I had to learn it because when I was younger, once the Portuguese started to come in with the trade, they had me to learn it from the priest. So he's like, okay, well, so Toranaga doesn't trust the priest because he's not Catholic. Yeah. He just needs the language. So he gets Mariko to translate for John, which starts a whole love interest type thing in that. Course. And Mariko's husband is the top fighter is one of the top fighters for the general's army.
Oh, so she's already married.
She's already married, but then it's kind of like that arranged marriage. It's not like...
Not love.
It's not love. All that was arranged marriage. So this whole story is getting to know getting to see how they are trying to kill Toranaga and getting to understand where John is coming from because John wants to do all the trade work with them and push the Portuguese out because he ends up telling Toranaga, yo, the Portuguese, like everybody thinks they're your friends. They're not. They are trying to do anything and everything to colonize you all and take over. And Toranaga's looking like, and that's what's happening. That he's like, they are keeping you all a secret. They're not telling the rest of the world that this island is even over here. So once Toranaga figured out that, he was like, okay, I appreciate this man. We're going to put him up. He's not a prisoner anymore. We're going to put him up. He's going to be, and living with us and stuff like that. But what happens, and Sheeta, the biggest hater, who wants to have all the power, was like, oh, so you're just entertaining prisoners? Yeah. And then Toranaga's like, yeah, I'm just entertaining him. But if you want me to, I'll put him back in prison. Puts him in prison for a day, pops him right back out, then utilizes him. So this is all the utilization. This is the story of the separation of the five, I guess, empires or the five territories, and John helping out the one who is the one who probably could be the leader but doesn't necessarily want it because of all the drama, and he doesn't want any of that. To them fighting each other, them having small battles with each other. Okay. Over this territory. Well, not even the territory, but like over the leadership. Oh, leadership. Yeah. Okay. But then also, it's so weird when it comes to the Japanese in this show because it's like, hey, Toranaga, you have to come here because we're all having a meeting. So he comes and he was like, all right, so I'm getting ready to go. And it's like, well, we advise you not to leave. I think that's what's best for you. You're not a prisoner. We're not holding you here, but we're advising you not to leave. So then when he goes to leave, what happens?
He's a prisoner.
They have all the army there, and they have like bow and arrows as they're going up to the door, and it's like they're shooting him around his feet and everything. It's like, it's up to you if you would like to leave. You're not a prisoner. Yeah, right. But we're telling you.
It seems a little threatening to me.
Exactly. So it's just, that is literally all it is. It's building all of that up. Did
you give the whole thing away?
No, I didn't give the whole thing away. No, I'm just giving you the gist of it. This is episodes. This is, it's not a movie. This is, how many episodes? 12 episodes.
Oh, okay. So
yeah,
you're just giving a high level.
I'm just giving you like the little cliff notes of the backstory. I'm not telling you every detail that's happening, because the details are the parts where you're like, ooh, oh, snap. Like, that's what draws you in. The details are what draw you in. So that now it's just what's going to happen. Are they going to be fighting? Or is it, you're thinking it's a whole big war coming. It's not a big war coming. They're not. It's the end of the show. There's no war.
So they're like, we gotcha. So now you got to come back. And it got Golden Globe nomination, so it will come back because it was highly acclaimed. And
another thing about it is that it is not Portuguese and it is English.
Okay.
So that's what, so I guess that's to keep the Americans to keep watching it. But when they are in Japan, they are speaking Japanese.
Oh, so you have to read the subtitles.
So yeah, you do have to read the subtitles. Okay. If you're not a subtitle person, which usually I am not, but I was, but I was really into this storyline.
By the time they got to the Japanese, you were into
it. So I was like, oh, they're going to do the back and forth, but it's mainly when they're talking to the generals and people in the outskirts and everything, it's Japanese. But anytime that they're talking to John, it is always a translator there. Okay. And John's picking up the language, so he can now be able to speak for himself too. God only knows how long he's been there. I don't know how it doesn't say how long all of this is going on within the 12 episodes, but it is a lot. I like it. Now you can watch it on Hulu. Like I said, it is called Showgun, and I think it's good. All right. The only disappointment about the not having the war.
Oh, gotcha.
The only disappointment.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then the last topic of the day, I have Club Shay.
Club Shay.
And Sheryl Underwood.
Oh, yeah.
Did you watch that one?
I didn't watch it, but I did see some clips of it when she was talking about Sharon Osbourne.
Yes. So, to give some backstory, so as you all know, in January of last year, and we mentioned earlier that it was Cat Williams on Club Shay. And spilling all the tea on all the people in Hollywood and, Diddy. And, when Diddy wants to party, you got to tell him no. Exactly. And so now we have Miss Sheryl Underwood. And she was on there just talking about a lot of things. She talked about childhood abuse. Mm-hmm. She talked about, the traumas that she's had. She talked about being in the military, which I didn't know that she had been in the military. Okay. And that she was married. And that I think while she was in the military, she got married young. Okay. But her husband died. And
I think I did hear part of that she was talking about her husband dying.
Yep. She talked about, Sharon Osbourne and the situation with Pierce, I think, and Sharon and all of that. Yeah,
so it was Pierce, what is his name? Pierce?
Morgan.
I was about to say Brosnan, but that's not the right
He's
one.
A nice Pierce.
Yeah. But how he was talking about Meghan Markle. And how disrespectful it was and how it sounded racist.
Yes.
Now, Sharon, I was supposed to say Sharon Stone. Get it together,
Sharon
Osbourne was like, just because I hang out with this person, does that make me a racist? I've never heard them say anything racist. And she was just saying, well, this is what she said, I thought I was talking to a friend about this when I was explaining this. She was like, but I'm not saying that because he came off as racist, that makes you racist.
Right.
And that started that whole spitball.
Yeah, and she was just saying that it ended up being that Sharon went on all these different shows and podcasts and everything, just talking about it. And she was like, I just left it alone. She was trying to bait me, and all I said was, we'll be back after this commercial break or something like that. So, she left it alone. And they also mentioned that Shannon had that fallout with Skip on his show. Yeah. So therefore he was like, oh, if I could have said what I wanted to say, I wouldn't have this show. I wouldn't have the ESPN. I wouldn't have anything because, if they bait you kind of can't
because
do that.
He said something about him pushing his glasses up or something like that. I don't know. So
it's just a bunch of stuff. But he was like, because Shannon had asked, is it who said it or what they said?
Exactly.
And it was who said it because it's a person that you feel like, okay, we're acquaintances, we're friends.
She was like, I thought we were friends.
Like she thought they were friends. Shannon said him and the other guy, he was like, I didn't think we were like friends, but I thought that we were at least colleagues
associates,
enough to the point that we wouldn't come out our mouth that kind of way,
sideways.
kind of scenario. So anyway, so they talked about that. They talked about how her mom passed away before all of her success, which, she kind of regrets, but also she had a very, interesting relationship with her mom. Yeah. She talked about the Queens of Comedy and the scenario that took place there. For anybody who doesn't know, she ended up getting on a conference call back in the day when you would get on these blind, conference calls and not Zoom. And she got on there early. And when she got on there, there were women who were already a part of the Queens of Comedy on there talking about her.
And, but they didn't hear when it was like another person entered the room,
know
the
that she had joined. Yeah. Right, exactly.
Because they're talking, kikiing.
And so they talked about her, and she just sat there and listened and didn't say anything, didn't confront anybody, and then ended up telling her agent, I don't think that this is going to be the right fit for me. And they were just talking about things about, I guess, just her being too loud and being too...
she wasn't attractive, her skin complexion, and they were just ragging on her the whole time. Yeah. It's like, what...
why do people need to do that? And so she ended up, sharing this information on an episode of The Talk. And I think that's when even those ladies probably found out, because Shannon asked her, did the ladies know? And she was like, nope, they didn't know until, that kind of came out. And, but she said that in her opinion, what she would love to happen is all of them to get together and do a movie. She was like, let's just make a bag. Like, it doesn't even matter if y'all still hate me. Yeah. Like, let's just make a bag. I've already written a script, and we could go ahead and make this thing work. And
cameras on, we best friends. Cameras off, don't even look at me.
You don't even have to talk to me.
Go back to the craft table services and do whatever you got to do.
And she was just saying how other races can, get over stuff and be like, look, to get this money, let's just do this. Exactly. I don't like you, you don't like me, but we're going to do this. And they were like, but she's like, it's probably not going to happen. And then the other thing she talked about that I thought was interesting was her night with Shannon Sharp. Ooh. Yeah. So what ended up happening is
2 chocolate drops in a pod. I love it.
So what ended up happening is that I guess early in his football career, excuse me.
When he was going to the Freaknicks?
No.
Oh, okay.
Early in his football career, when he went to a comedy show with I guess another football player or friend, it was where she was doing the show, and he was like, oh, I want to go backstage and meet her. I doubt she knows who I am, but whatever. So she ended up they met, and so she was like, oh yeah, I know you because you're of the team or whatever she played with, or his brother, because his brother was in football too. And so anyway, what ended up happening was she said, I have to go to no, she was going home. He was leaving. So he was like, I'll give you a ride. So she was like, okay, fine. She said, this sexy man gonna tell me he gonna give me a ride. Hello, I'm here,
I'm in the passenger
So
seat.
she said that she got in the car, they left, they got to her place, and sat in the car and talked all night.
Okay, that's awesome.
Like all night, just sitting in the car talking. She asked him if he wanted to come in for a nightcap, and he was like, nah, I got to get up early in the morning. I don't know if it was practice or something. He was like, but I had to go to work. Like the next morning, I had to go to work. And she was like, I was trying to give you all this. And then here you go talking about something, I need to go to work, blah, blah, blah. So she gave him the hardest time, and he cracked up laughing with that Shannon Sharp laugh that is hilarious. And so, and it gets so high. Yeah, so anyway, and so long story short, nothing transpired, but she was just like, but he could have got it. Basically was what her response was. And he was just like, no, I mean, I thought it was really cool, but it just, nothing came out of that scenario. So when I say their night together, it wasn't like anything, untaught. Yeah. It was just that. But she was like, hey, hit on me right now, see what happened, kind of thing. So it was very funny just to hear the interaction between the two of them. And just that they've known each other since, I think they said that happened in the 90s.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it happened.
So they've known each other forever. So anyway.
But that's why I said like his Freaknik time. Oh, you know what she also talked about? She talked about how she had called, I don't know if she called Cedric or she called Steve Harvey. She was supposed to be doing a comedy special, and Cat Williams got on the stage.
Oh no, she called the leader of the special and had told, like, the person who pulled it all together and was like, Cat, he's killing it. I can't follow him.
Yeah, I can't follow him.
I can't.
But she ended up getting somebody else to come in for it.
No,
right?
she ended up doing it. Yeah, she ended up going up there and doing it herself. But she was like, he needs, like, he's it. And so she kind of gave herself credit. Not really credit for him, but just like he was killing it. And then I recognized that in it. And I told the people who were producing the show, like, he's going to be a reckon, you know, he's going to be somebody everybody's going to have to, a force to be reckoned with. And so she was like, I could see it. I knew it. And I didn't want to follow it. But I got my big girl, you know, stuff on, and I went ahead and followed him. And so, yeah, it was a good talk of what I heard of it. I feel like I heard most of it. And yeah, so it was Miss, what am I saying? Sheryl Underwood with Shannon Sharp, and the two of them
Club
talking
Shay
about,
Shay.
on Club Shay Shay, and the two of them talking about that experience of them together was hilarious.
Okay.
So if nothing else, that was worth it. So,
word.
All right, everybody, that's it for
Sestra-Tainment.
Have a good one.
Bye.